Sorry, trying to get the camera just right. I think that's good. Hey, Periscope. Hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me. If you're watching the replay, thank you so much for catching me. Also, if you're watching the replay or if you're watching live, you can, lost my train of thought, share this broadcast. There are so many people that need this message, and definitely somebody that you know. So I'm asking you if you could please take a moment to just share this broadcast. You can share, let's see, this guy right here. You can click on him and share the broadcast with your followers, Facebook, Twitter, and any followers you have on Periscope. I want to encourage you to do that because there are so many people in this world. Doesn't matter if you're black, white, red, yellow. Doesn't matter if you're from America, Antarctica, North America, South America, Antarctica, Asia, Europe, Australia. It doesn't matter where you're from. If you have suffered rejection or abandonment or abuse from a dad, then this pertains to you. A lot of times we think that it's a black issue or it's a white issue, but this is a woman issue. And so it is my duty to call attention to this issue. I hear kids screaming upstairs. Would be mine. Would be mine as soon as I get on Periscope to start screaming. So it's my duty to call attention to this issue, and I hope that you will take a moment to share the broadcast. Again, you can click on this guy right here and share with your followers. Also, if you're not following me, if you're just watching and you're not following, please take a moment to go ahead and follow me, and I promise it'll be worth it. Lastly, give me some hearts. You can double tap the screen. Also, if you're watching the replay, you can still double tap the screen and give me some hearts. So if I say anything you like, if I say anything you agree with, if I say something that, makes you think, please don't hesitate to double tap your screen. All right. So, again, thank you. And don't forget to share. Also, the guide that I'm going to be talking from tonight is on my website. So you can go to divadube.com and get the free download. It's free. I'm just trying to call attention to the issues. If you or someone you suspect that they might be dealing with daddy issues, go on over to the website and pick up this checklist. And so that's what I'm going to be teaching from or talking about tonight. And for the sake of time, I said top 10, but I think I may do 5. And then that way you can get the other 5 when you go to divadube.com. That's DEVADUBE.com. And you can get the other 5 over there. For the sake of time, I have a conference call that I'm supposed to be on here in a little bit, so I don't want to hold you any longer, and I don't want to hold myself any longer than what we need to. All right, so thanks for joining. I just wanted to talk a little bit about daddy issues. It's a big thing now. Everything I hear is in a negative standpoint, and I just want to let you know first and foremost that that's not what I'm about. I come from a place of healing, and I believe that it is God's desire for his daughters, for his women to be free and to be set free of any issues that hold them hostage, any issues that bind them. And so I have been commissioned because of my experiences and because of my studies and my diligence in this subject matter, I've been commissioned to heal women of those daddy issues. And so I just wanted to tell you a little bit about myself. When I was younger, my dad was absent. I really didn't know where he was most of the time, and when I did see him, which was very, very rare, when I did see him, it was usually he failed to validate me as a little girl. You know, most little girls want to be daddy's girl. They want to be daddy's little princess. They want to twirl for daddy and all of that. And so my dad really kind of failed to validate me. And so because of that, I didn't really think a lot about myself. And then one day when I was about 13 years old, there was a lady who came to an event that I was at, and she was the keynote speaker, and she was famous. She was a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful woman. She was a veterinarian by trade. And after she finished speaking, there was a time when you could go up to her and, you know, get autographs or talk to her, say hi or whatever. Now, at that time, I was very, very shy. And just really didn't think a lot about myself. And so, but it was something about this woman that just drew me to her. And I just really felt like I had to go and talk to her. And so, I got up the nerve to go up and talk to her, which I didn't do much talking at all. She did all the talking. But the very first thing that came out of her mouth was, "Look at you. You are so beautiful." And when I tell you that changed my life, it's no joke. When I tell you that changed my life, I'm 100% serious. This woman was Dr. Debbie Turner, and she's a former Miss America. And this woman, if you can Google her, she's gorgeous. And for her to tell me, "Look at you, you're so beautiful," it just really did something to me. It planted a seed in me. At that time, I didn't think much about myself, but it caused me to look at myself in a much different light. And so, did I get delivered and healed from all my daddy issues at that point? No, I didn't. But what she did, she saw something in me, and she planted a seed in me that began to birth the healing in me. And so, and it caused me to seek out help to be healed from all the issues that had me bound. And so when she said that, you know, my daddy issues was really kind of blocking, or it was affecting the way that I saw myself. Okay. And so that's the number one thing that daddy issues do. They affect the way that you see yourself. It's almost like a pair of glasses that you put on and you see yourself through every day when you look in the mirror. Not only that, you see other people in a different light, and then you also see the world in a different light. So when I say other people, you see men in a different light. Anyone who has daddy issues can attest to the way that you look at men. And also, daddy issues causes you to look at the world in a different light. You look at relationships in a different way. You look at just the whole world system in a very, very different way. You're offended easily. There's all kinds of things. But so daddy issues changes the way that you see yourself, you see others, and you see the world. And so at that point, when Dr. Debbie Turner told me that, I was in the binds of daddy issues and was seeing myself in that light. And so thank God that she planted that seed in me. So I want to talk about daddy issues and what exactly are daddy issues. I had someone ask me today, what are daddy issues? And so I'm going to give you a definition. Now, this is my definition of daddy issues. And so basically, daddy issues are any negative effect of fatherlessness. Okay, so fatherlessness can be from your dad not being around, from him abandoning you. Your dad could have died when you were younger. He could have abused you. He could have been in the home but didn't pay much attention to you. Maybe if he was a pastor or, worked a lot and didn't have a lot of time for the children. Any of those things could have brought daddy issues. Any of those things could be counted as fatherlessness, okay? And so basically daddy issues are any negative effect of fatherlessness. And so basically it's composed of three things. It's composed of symptoms, which are the way that you react to the rejection from your dad. So basically daddy issues is a big way of talking about rejection and abandonment and abuse, okay? Abandonment is rejection, rejection is rejection, and abuse is rejection. And so fatherlessness and daddy issues is composed of three things, and that's symptoms, which is basically the way that you react to the rejection from your dad. Behaviors, which is basically things that you do because of the rejection. For example, some women are attention seeking, and so that's a behavior that is wrapped up in daddy issues. Another example would be suppressing your problems. It's a behavior that some women do who suffer with daddy issues. Okay, so we've got symptoms, we've got behaviors, and then the last thing is readjustments. And so readjustments are basically what we do to try to fill the vacancy that we had with fatherlessness, or the readjustments that we do to try to protect ourselves from future rejection. So because you've been rejected in the past, you readjust your behavior in order to keep from experiencing that type of pain, abuse, or hurt in the future. Okay, so that's my definition of daddy issues. One big example for women, and this is so true for a lot of women, is that they tend to, if you have daddy issues, you tend to get into a relationship in which you're rejected, abandoned, or abused. And it's so interesting that, you were, those things were done by your dad, but yet women with daddy issues tend to actually get into those types of relationships as well. So they tend to attract people who reject, abandon, or abuse them. Okay. And so what I'm going to do is give you the top 10 ways. Well, actually I said 5. I said 10, but I'm going to do 5 because I'm kind of pressed for time. I have another conference call to do. So I'm going to do 5. Excuse me. So this is the top 5 ways that you can tell if you are suffering from daddy issues. Now, it might not necessarily have to be you. It could be maybe, a cousin, or even if you have a daughter, a teenage daughter. You can use this checklist. Don't forget to go get the checklist at divadube.com, DEVADUBE.com, and pick that up. And you can see the other 5 ways that you can tell. Okay, so number 1, you're a perfectionist. If you are a perfectionist, and you've experienced fatherlessness, you could most likely have daddy issues. Now, let me tell you why. Perfectionism is a symptom. It's one of those readjustments that we do when we have rejection, because we tend to self-reject. Rejection usually brings a couple other types of rejections. We tend to self-reject, and we tend to fear rejection. And so perfectionism is really kind of those 2 areas. You tend to be a perfectionist because of fear of rejection. So how do I put it? Because when you were younger, you weren't validated the way that you should have been. You have behaviors that you try to do in order to prove that you're lovable. So for example, let's say your dad never validated you in education. Then when you're older, you're going to be trying to get all kinds of degrees. You're going to be trying to show him how smart you are so that he will eventually validate you. Now, the problem with that is that, you can't wait for someone else to always validate you. And so because of that, then you end up trying to find, now you can't be a master of all, but you usually try to find one thing that you are good in, and then you work and work and work and work to be really, really good in it so that someone can say, wow, you really did that. You are really smart. You are really smart, especially if your dad didn't validate you as far as how smart you were. Or, excuse me, I'm sorry. Let's say your dad didn't validate your looks. Then when you grow up, you tend to, do the works. You have to be all well put together. And so you're a perfectionist in that area so that people will say, wow, look at her. She is so well put together. She's beautiful. She's this, that, and the other. So that's the first one. If you're a perfectionist and you suffered fatherlessness, you probably have daddy issues. All right. Oh, I forgot. Let me back up a sec. So it also has to do with self-rejection as well. Okay. All right. So number two, if you have anxiety, worry, or depression, I see so many women who have these issues, anxiety, worry, and depression, and they're really, really, really down and hard on themselves. And I don't like that, because this depression, anxiety, and worry starts somewhere, and it usually tends to start from the rejection of your dad. The rejection from your dad, or abandonment or abuse from your dad, usually causes, fear of rejection and also self-rejection. And so those are the things that are in operation behind the anxiety, the worry, and the depression. Okay, so number 3, these are the top 5 ways that you can tell if you have daddy issues. Number 3, if you are a loner. If you're a loner. Now, I told you guys about when I met Dr. Debbie Turner, former Miss America, but what I didn't tell you is that I was a loner at that time. I had kind of withdrew myself from society. I mean, I would go places, but I really had kind of withdrawn my emotions from society because of fear of rejection. So when you're rejected, you tend to fear being rejected again, and so you have those adjustments to your behavior. You separate yourself sometimes so that you won't experience the type of pain and hurt from rejection that you did when you were a little girl. Okay, so if you're a loner and you were fatherless, you probably have daddy issues. You've probably separated yourself from people in order to protect your feelings. And so that's a number 3, the top 5 ways that you can tell you have daddy issues. All right, number 4, if you procrastinate, this girl right here, I was the number 1 procrastinator. If you procrastinate and you had fatherlessness, you probably have daddy issues. Reason being is it's a fear of failure, and it's also self-rejection. So you tend to self-reject, and then you don't have really the faith to or the confidence to be able to start something and see it through, or you start and you stop. Because a lot of times of that self-rejection, it's like, who am I to do this? The self-talk is very negative. You're so dumb. You don't know how to do that. If you say those things to yourself, please stop. Some of you, your self-talk is worse to yourself than it is to any other person on earth. So please don't talk negative to yourself. But as far as procrastination, you have a fear of failure and also self-rejection. And then the last one, number 5, is if you use alcohol, drugs, food, shopping, or sex as a comfort, you more than likely have daddy issues. Now, let's talk about it. The reason being is because, remember we talked about those adjustments to your behavior? That's one of them. Lust and strong desire for something is usually an adjustment to behavior, and we use those things as a comfort, or basically so that we won't experience the rejection that we felt in the past. So it could be alcohol, could be drugs, could be food, could be shopping. I know a lot of people that have shopping addictions. Could be shopping, could be sex. Okay. One big thing that a lot of women with daddy issues do is that they're reaching for love in all the wrong places. And so they tend to be promiscuous. And promiscuous is relative these days. So, you know, I don't know what you think promiscuous is, but when women tend to, you know, try to grab on and think that they try to receive love through sex from different partners, usually that's a sign that you have some sort of daddy issues. So let me just review real quick, and then I'm going to hop off of here. Number 1, if you're a perfectionist. Number 2, if you have anxiety, worry, or depression. Number 3, if you're a loner. Number 4, if you procrastinate. And number 5, if you use alcohol, drugs, food, shopping, or sex as a comfort, more than likely you have daddy issues. Now, I want you guys to go to divadube.com, DEVADUBE, and download this resource. It will help you. And also, if you could please share this broadcast, because there are so many people in this world that need the healing from God of their daddy issues. And so we're going to work on that. Go to divadube.com, download the resource, and then I'll see you next time. If you're not already following me, please do follow me. Also, you can catch me over on Instagram at divadube. Thank you so much for joining. Thanks for watching the replay. Thanks for the heart love. You can still give me hearts. I love you guys. Thanks for joining. Bye-bye.